First off, well done for completing Module 2. Module 2 has been about gathering ideas, but you've learned a whole bunch of things in the process. First of all, you've learned about the Impulse, which is Ableton's drum sampler, how it works with the different cells, and how you can use all of these parameters to change each cell and the sound within it. And then over here, remember, we have some of the global parameters that change everything in the entire drum sampler. You also learned how to group everything together into an instrument rack with adding effects, creating your own sounds, your own custom presets that you saved. And then obviously you learned how to input your sounds using the computer keyboard and how to save your Ableton Live set in an Ableton project. Remember, we've got the Ableton Live set here, and this is the name of the Ableton project. And from there, we went into how to program our own beats using the mouse. That was what all this was. Programming in our different loops, and also, the loop lengths are set here. That's another important thing we learned. And then for those of you who want to use pre-made loops, remember we went in and I took this conga percussion sound, and I explained how using loops as they are is more a form of collage. But then if you use MIDI loops, for example, you can go in and change the MIDI information like this. You can move it around and take something like a preset MIDI loop and make your own thing out of it. So that was really cool. And then we went into recording stuff with our controllers, in my case, the Ableton PUSH. Maybe you have a MIDI keyboard or a Launchpad or something like that. And hopefully you used your controller to input your MIDI information into the track. Another thing we learned is how to quantize notes. Remember, when we play something and record it, things might not always be on the grid, and we can quantize stuff back onto the grid, either 100% or maybe 50%, so it's retains some sort of human element. We also went into how to save clips of our own by just dragging them over into the user library, into the clips, if you remember correctly, which, like I mentioned, is a great way to save ideas for later use. And you're not only saving the MIDI information, you're also saving the entire instrument and effects chain, which is just absolutely amazing. And you'll find that that is a great way to build up an arsenal of your own sounds and musical material that you can use in later tracks. And last but not least, we learned about how to record audio material by, first of all, creating an audio track up here. And then remember, we have the in-out section that we switched on or off. We want that to be on. Selecting the audio source from here, selecting which input you want from your audio interface. But also remember, you can record stuff just from using your internal mic on your computer. Then the monitoring section you want to have on auto for our purposes. And then obviously you need to hit the record button in order to record onto your audio track. And from there, we went in and took a look at naming the clips, colorizing the clips, and then also using some of these settings right here, increasing the volume or the gain, transposition, and reversing the audio material. And of course, how to add effects to the sound to take it to that next level. Now, before we move on to the next module, I just want to speak a word of warning. And this comes from my own personal experience. I've found over the years working with Ableton that composing or gathering the ideas for a composition is one of the most exciting parts, because you're being creative, you're going through sound presets and selecting stuff and coming up with all of these little sketches. And that's what we've done so far. But then a lot of times I find if I take a break from the compositional process, when I come back and sit down in front of my computer, I want to get that rush again, that excitement of discovering new sounds and presets. And then I'll sort of put that off to the side, the composition that I just started, and I'll be like, I'll work on that later. And I'll open up a new project and I'll do the same thing over again. I'll create some beats and create some sounds and maybe some harmonies and melodies. And then I'll take a break from it again. I'll put it off to the side, save it in a folder, and I'll go back the next day or the next week and record a whole new thing. And I have hundreds of sketches from over the years that I started, but I never finished. So one thing I want to warn you about is I want you to continue in this process that I'm about to show you, and don't get stuck at this point, because it's very easy to want to get that adrenaline rush again and not put in the work needed to finish off a track. So make sure to work through the next modules. Don't get stuck here. And that way you will learn to actually finish off tracks, at least as a demo stage. You know, it won't be fully mixed or anything, but you will have something that you can play to someone that has a beginning, middle, and end. And that's what we're going to be looking at in module 3. We're going to be arranging our track and getting ready to record it into arrangement mode. So I'll see you over there.